Hi, everybody. Today, our project is going to be covering racial discrimination in sentencing. Approximately 0.7% of the United States population is in federal or state prison or local jail. According to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics, in 2018, black males accounted for 34% of the total male prison population, white males 29%, and Hispanic males 24%. African Americans are incarcerated in state prisons at a rate that is 5.1 times the imprisonment of whites. In 11 states, at least 1 in 20 adult black males is in prison. Latinos are imprisoned at a rate that is 1.4 times the rate of whites. In New York City, where people of color make up about half of the population, 80% of the NYPD stops were of blacks and Latinos. Here we have an infographic that shows the lifetime likelihood of imprisonment of U.S. residents born in 2001. Now that we have examined the disparities in incarceration rates and arrest, we can focus on the disparities in sentencing.
In the journal Demography of Legal Profession and Racial Disparities in Sentencing, research shows that minorities fare better in counties where there are more minority legal representation. The journal concluded that more racial diversity in the bar results in less racial disparity in criminal sentencing. A study that analyzed over 30,000 Wisconsin cases over a 7-year period found significant racial disparities in the plea bargaining process. White defendants were 25% more likely than black defendants to have their most serious initial charge dropped or reduced to a less severe charge. Black defendants were more likely than white defendants to be convicted of their highest initial charge. White defendants who faced initial felony charges were approximately 15% more likely than similar black defendants to be convicted of a misdemeanor instead. The U.S. Sentencing Commission reported that in the federal system, black offenders receive sentences that are 10% longer than white offenders with the same crimes. African Americans are 21% more likely to receive mandatory minimum sentences than white defendants and 20% more likely to be sentenced to prison than white drug defendants. Let's examine some example court cases and see what results we get.
First up is Brad. He is a 38-year-old white male with no criminal history who is facing trial for aggravated kidnapping. Secondly, we have John. He is a 25-year-old white male with no criminal history charged with sexual assault. Next up, we have Alex. He is a 22-year-old white male with a few misdemeanors on his record, facing trial for intoxication assault. Finally, we have Michael. He is a 27-year-old black male with no criminal history, facing charges of burglary. In the case of the state of Texas versus Brad was sentenced to the felony probation where he is assigned community service and a fine. In the case of the state of Texas versus John had all of his charges dismissed. In the case of the state of Texas versus Alex was sentenced to the minimum 2 years in jail and a fine. He also had his license revoked. In the case of the state of Texas versus Michael was sentenced to 10 years in state of prison with a fine. This is an unfortunate truth to our current criminal justice system.
As our criminal justice system continues to reform, we are hoping we are able to address these issues and strive for equal punishment no matter the race. You can find our references listed in the Google Docs below. Thank you for watching.